What happens when a body man challenges a giant in a 2 out of 3 falls matchup? Yes, the IPW Island Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Championship was on the line. Wesley Pipes taking on the Giant Orion. We've got all the details of that match and more from the show coming up here on tonight's Ring Respect Radio. So that means, boom, just like that, it's Thursday night, and that's party time with the Video Bros. My name is Bobby Munson, and the man sitting beside me, if you don't know him yet, you'll know him soon enough. He's the man with the angelic voice. He's Papa Smokes. Papa Smokes, happy Thursday. How you doing, brother?
Woo, happy Thursday to you, Munson. Glad to be here on another night with Ring Respect Radio. We got all kinds of wrestling stuff to talk about, other stuff to talk about too tonight. Man, it's really turning out to be quite a strange winter in Saskatchewan here, but I'll let you carry on with everything. But hey, shout out to all the wrestling people out there.
You know, not only just Saskatchewan, I mean, we can relate to what it's like here in Saskatchewan weather-wise, of course, Papa Smokes, but yeah, right around the globe, they're getting all sorts of crazy weather. I mean, one of the great friends of ours here of the channel, Lauren Goodnight, who's on here every time we got a trivia night going, she's in South Carolina, my friend, and she's got snow. She sent a picture of a snow angel in South Carolina. I mean, that's a rarity right there, if you ask me.
For sure. They should be glad about that. I bet you they're happy to get it once in a while, but not as much as we get it.
Yeah, for us, it's been unconditionally warm at the moment as we got the Mangler up in the house saying, hello, gentlemen. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to you, Mangler. Thank you for being here each and every week. Backbreaker Video is up in the house saying, hey, boys. Backbreaker Video, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. But yeah, Papa Smokes, we're going to be talking about IPW Snow Mercy here on the channel today. But let's go back to this weather condition situation. Actually, let's go to Andre C first. Andre C, our boys in the chat. Yes, happy to have you here, Andre. Thanks for being here. Cheers to you, my brother. Yeah, let's go back to this weather situation because, I mean, it's easy to sit there and go, this is so nice. We had minus 40. What was that? About a week ago, approximately. It was cold.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was nasty. And then all of a sudden today we hit plus 8 Celsius, almost double digits on the plus side at the beginning of February. It is one sloppy ass mess out there right now, Papa Smokes. And we know it's going to drop down to minus 9 overnight. And you know what happens then? Everything freezes. It's going to turn into bumper cars on those highways. It is going to be ugly going into this weekend in that sense. And Andre confirming over at the Edmonton side, it's plus 7 Celsius there right now. So, man, it's all kinds of ugly here in that sense. I mean, it's nice momentarily. That's about the best way I can put it. It's good to get some sunshine, good to be able to get outdoors. Really not so good when you know what the repercussions are going to be.
Well, just like you mentioned, was it 10 days ago maybe that we had a nice 5-6 day stretch where the temperature was colder than minus 35 the entire time. Got down to minus 50 something one of those nights. That's getting pretty chilly even by Canadian standards. And now it's the beginning of February and we've got temperatures not only at 0 but in the pluses, plus 7, 8, 9. That's crazy. But here, I'll take the Papa Smokes kind of cynical look at the whole thing. It's nice to have a little break, especially after it's been so cold. It's nice to have a little bit of warm weather, but every year it does this for a couple days, and you know what that means, Munson? It forms a nice layer of thick, hard ice on the very bottom, and then it's going to snow more over that. So we probably melted a little bit of the snow, but it's really not going to make a huge difference. By the time we get to April, we'll still be that lower level, just like a hockey rink or a skating rink of just sheer ice on the bottom. That'll take a bit to melt. But hey, man, I'll take this little break. You don't have to get the gear on quite so much. You don't have to bundle up so much. The only thing is, like you said, tonight it's going to freeze. So the people that drive cars, that becomes a problem. The people that walk or ride their bikes or use any other mode of transport, that becomes difficult too because puddles everywhere, ice everywhere. It's nutty, but this is where we live. We were born here, so we put up with this stuff. It'll be great. I've already got the stopwatch on, counting down to spring. You know, Papa Smokes, bit of an outdoorsman, likes his outdoor activities in the spring and summer. Can't wait, Munson.
You bet. Yeah, I prefer the outdoors as well too, Bob Smokes. I've been waiting for the opportunity. Of course, like the wife and I got out yesterday. She was around yesterday after work. We got out for a nice big long walk while the weather was nice. Today, of course, a little bit different. This is where you and I do our pre-records. This is where we go live, so I don't really have that opportunity to get out there like I did. But I tried to sneak out of the office a little bit just to kind of go outside for a little bit of a walk around the building and stuff like that, just to soak it in because, again, we know what's around the corner. It's going to happen. But you know what else is around the corner, Papa Spokes? And it doesn't matter if it's minus 40. It doesn't matter if it's plus 40. It doesn't matter if it's somewhere in between, because the hottest place to be is on Saturday, February the 21st, live in Saskatoon, when Prairie Pro Wrestling presents Cold Hearted, our very first show of 2026. And I can tell you very much so that all the seats are sold out, Papa Smokes. We have been selling general admission like it's going out of style. This show is going to be packed. Well, we didn't sell out the seats as quickly as we do on, say, a Ring of Horrors type show. People came around as soon as February hit. All of a sudden, whatever was left for seats got snapped up in minutes. And then general admission went on sale. And I tell you, the PPW socials have been lighting up, Papa Smokes. People are excited. People are ready. They're getting anxious. They want to know what's going on in the next chapter of Prairie Pro Wrestling, and they're going to find out on Saturday, February the 21st, and I can't wait to see you all out there. I'm really excited about it. I got the seating chart done, Papa Smoke. I got them QR codes out there already. We are set, and we are ready to go, and I believe, if not mistaken, I'm back joining you on the floor for doing the video work on this show as well, too.
What? I can't believe my ears, Munson. I'm so used to you sitting in a chair beside the ring while I do all the hard work, Munson. I'm quite surprised. So you're going to get back on the camera. You're going to take that far side like you always do?
Yeah, I'm going to be back to my same old side there, Papa Smokes, because you're an expert at the rampway. I'll take the other side of the ring as usual, like I did it back in the day. And yes, it's I don't know if it's temporary or what's going on. The other guy's got a busy night ahead of him that night. He's going to be out possibly furthering his career in the world of videography. So kudos to him for doing that. It means I'm back on there. So I'll tell you, Papa Smokes, I've been doing my best to be a good boy. I've been working out. I've been doing all the things. I've been, like I said, I went out for that big long walk yesterday. I've actually been doing a lot of exercise videos, doing a lot of that stuff so I can get the legs pumping, feeling good. I want to make sure that I'm ready to go because I'm there all damn day, Papa Smokes. I'm right at noon. I roll on in. I get all the chairs set up, put the names on the chairs. I'm there when those doors open. I'm there greeting the PPW Nation. And then I'm right back there, right on the video for the 2.5 hours of great Prairie Pro Wrestling action. And you know what? I wouldn't want to miss a second of it at all because I love it. I love the energy of that audience. I love seeing the faces of the PPW Nation when they see what we deliver for pro wrestling action here in Saskatoon. It really brings me joy, Papa Smokes, and I feel like it's just been so goddamn long. Beginning of December feels so far away at this point that I am counting down the days to PPW's Cold Hearted.
That's definitely true, Munson. It's a long stretch between the beginning of December and the end of February, as we all know, especially in the depths of winter in Saskatchewan. But Munson, it sounds like you want your flowers a little bit. You're a bit of a hero. You come a little bit early to the shows and all that. I'll give you your flowers and everything, but I also will say you better be ready for this show, Munson, because you're 40 years old, but you got the knees of a 75-year-old. So you better be ready to go.
You better believe it, Papa Spokes. But the knees are feeling a lot better all of a sudden. I'm starting to get that energy back, so I'm working on it. I might have them lowered to the knees of a 60-year-old by the time we get to the time of the show. So, I might make it through. We got the Mangler saying very much looking forward to the 21st. Awesome. Yeah, it's gonna be fantastic card. I know that there's gonna be a lot of great matches on it. We'll talk very heavily about that as we're getting a little closer to showtime. Make sure you keep up with the Prairie Pro Wrestling socials to find out more about the show as it comes to showtime as well too. It's gonna be a great time. Mangler's got their tickets. Mangler's all booked for the show. We know that. So Mangler's going to have a great night there at Prairie Pro Wrestling. It's going to be fantastic. But you know what, Papa Smokes? That's Prairie Pro. But we also got friends just one province over in our friends in Winnipeg Pro Wrestling, and they made some history last night. I'm not sure if you've been following what they've been up to recently, but this was very unique and creative, and I kind of feel like maybe I should share my screen on this so people can get a little insight into what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to share this right here. This is the Winnipeg Pro Wrestling Facebook page. You can check this out on all their socials, really. I think the same post has applied. But if you look right here on the screen, they say, last night, history was made, live professional wrestling with live Symphony Orchestra for the first time ever. Thank you to the 2,300 fans who sold out the Centennial Concert Hall and trusted us with something completely different. So yes, they did this last night, Papa Smokes, in Winnipeg with a live symphony orchestra. And here's just a couple of the photos that were taken there last night. You can see the fun that they were having with that orchestra, as well as putting on the pro wrestling event at the same time. I hope this is going on YouTube, man. Like, I hope that this is going to be a part of the shows that we get to review, because this is such a cool, different concept, and I'm really excited to check out what they put together.
That's so awesome, because we heard about this just briefly a couple of months ago when we were reviewing one of their other shows. What an interesting idea. I love these WPW guys because they think outside the box just a little bit. It's not only throwing a wrestling show with various talent and various stars appearing. That's also a very important part of a wrestling show, is having all that talent and the good booking and all that stuff. But they hold their shows in interesting places, such as the Burton Cummings Theater. We got a glance at it from Rumble at the Burt last time. What a very, very cool venue to hold a wrestling show in. So interesting for the fans. And now playing with the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. I can only imagine how they really set this up. They must have, was the orchestra making music for the wrestlers on the way to the ring, or were they doing songs in between and before and after the show, or in between matches?
I'm
it's
not 100%.
Fascinating. I want to see more.
Yeah, like I'm not 100% sure on that. I had that same question you did. Did they actually redo all the theme music for everybody? Before we talk about that further, Astrid's in the house. Hello, Astrid. Thanks for joining us here on Ring Respect Radio. And hold on, don't forget to use your hype points for taking over at Ring Respect Radio. Yes, that is right. If you haven't done so already and you're watching on a mobile phone, you can actually use hype points here on OLE. You get up to 3 hypes per week. So on your mobile phone, all you have to do is go down to the area where you see the thumbs up, the shares, and all that. There is a section called hype. And I'll tell you, Papa Smokes, I was telling you this last night. I got a message from YouTube that the show that we did, Ring Respect Radio Presents a Trip Through the Territories, the most recent episode, actually got 8 hypes from fans, and that boosted us to number 56 on the Canadian hype charts. And I was proud, man. It was a nice feeling to have. And thank you, Astrid, for the reminder as well. Use that for taking over. Use it for Ring Respect. Use it for any shows that really bring you that joy right here on the channel. We appreciate that. And yes, let's go. I agree with you. But yes, back to the WPW and the orchestra. Like the setup was cool. Like it seemed like very similar to where they set up the Burton Cummings Theater, where the ring is on the stage and they've got the orchestra theater seating, and then they had the orchestra in front of the ring itself. So, and at times there's clips and videos and stuff of some of the boys getting involved there, going down and conducting the band at times. It looks like it was such a fun and different experience. And yes, shout out to Noah Unleashed as well, too. Also deserves your hype points as well. So make sure to show the love to all the shows here that are regularly featured on Ring Respect Radio. On OLE Podcast. My apologies. Yes. But this orchestra idea, Papa Smokes Land, I'm excited for this beyond belief, because it's so different, so interesting, so unique. And that's one of the things that makes Winnipeg Pro Wrestling stand out, is because they're not doing the same old thing over and over and over again. They are really trying different stuff. They're really going different angles. And I love that about them. It keeps it fresh, keeps it interesting. And I got to say, after seeing a lot of this, and this is no disrespect to who we're talking about here tonight, but Winnipeg Pro Wrestling has got to be one of the most superior brands in Canada right now, in my personal opinion.
I would really think so. And they attract a lot of talent. They seem to have no problem bringing in names from, upper level names from the indies and all that. it can't be cheap to run shows in some of these places, such as the Burton Cummings Theater and the and with the Symphony Orchestra at the Cultural Center. But wow, just very, very cool. Love their creativity. I love WPW's Twitter feed as well because they show a lot of reverence for Winnipeg wrestling of the past, which I had seen, of course. They love the old AWA history from Winnipeg and then the days of Joey Aiello and some of the other local promoters who have just made that rich tapestry of history of wrestling in the city. And they're just continuing that on. You know, we talked about the Burt and the Symphony, but also you and I both enjoyed the whole feel behind those summertime shows
Yeah.
outside behind the Blue Notes or where the Blue Note building used to be on Main Street. That just, those look good on camera. I can only imagine how fun they would be to sit outside on a nice summer night, have a beer, and watch a wrestling show. You know, we had a little taste of that this past summer with the beer wars and then at the Saskatoon Berries game. It really, really adds something just to change the venue, change up the look a little bit, give it a bit more fun for the fans where they can sit somewhere else and enjoy the wrestling product that they really love.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I mean, we've talked about it already. We want to make our way out to Winnipeg Pro Wrestling sometime, possibly this summer as well, too. They personally reached out and offered us a spot there to check out the show and everything, which kudos to them. Would love to take them up on that. And I think we are definitely going to be taking them up on that, Papa Smokes. And, you know, and we'll have to film the whole damn thing. We're going to have to take different videos and stuff during that time, you know, the Video Bros Adventures in Winnipeg or something. You know, we'll have some cool stuff that we can show here from our trip when we go out there to your neck of the woods for a change.
We'll have to turn those cameras off by around midnight or something, Munson. There's probably some footage you might not want of Papa Smokes after that.
That's when the drinks have been flowing a lot by that time, and the words that we say make a lot less sense. I mean, in our own heads, they make a lot of sense, but you know, to the general audience, they might not make as much sense as the stuff we talk about here. Not that this makes a lot of sense either. Speaking of Mel Ball, speaking of No Unleashed, here she is in the chat. Good evening, Mel Ball. Thank you for being here as part of Ring Respect Radio here tonight. But yeah, as we say, Winnipeg Pro Wrestling, top of the food chain when it comes to wrestling here in Canada, in my personal opinion, and obviously yours as well too. Can't wait to go check them out live. And now we're going to talk about one that, you know, when we talked about them last time, it felt like, and it didn't feel like, they're under new management. They're starting to make a turnaround, starting to get things rolling for themselves, starting to find out what their company is going to look like moving forward under their new management here. And, you know, we got a shout out from Zane Valentine, who we really liked the work of last time that we watched them. I'm talking about Island Pro Wrestling coming out of Prince Edward Island, Papa Smokes. And it took a little while to get up there, but their most recent show, Snow Mercy, is now available over on YouTube. So people can now go check it out. If you sign up to their Patreon account, you can actually get the match that took place before the main card started. So that is a new feature from them. You can actually get that Patreon access and be able to watch the show I believe actually they're streaming them live now, if I'm not mistaken, as well as put out the individual matches afterwards. But you're actually able to get access to that early showing, just like the VIP fans in their building can as well too. So attempting new things themselves under their new management. And this show maybe didn't feature as many of the faces that we saw last time out. It reminded me sometimes of what happens even with ourselves when you get into that December mode. There's lots of those companies wanting to get all the bookings that they could possibly get into December right before the holiday season, when a lot of companies say, okay, let's put a halt on it for a couple of weeks. So a lot of the wrestlers are absolutely busy. So we didn't see Zane Valentine this time out, and we saw a few new faces, a few we were familiar from, not only from their last program, but from other companies as well too, but definitely a few new faces to the fold. But before we even start talk about the matches, as always, for those that aren't familiar with the lay of the land, Pop Smokes is going to let you know just a little bit more about Prince Edward Island and where this show took place.
Yeah, sounds good. Last time we covered Island Pro Wrestling, I talked a little bit about the province of Prince Edward Island. This time I'm going to talk about their capital city, Charlottetown. Now, Prince Edward Island is a very small province. I don't have the exact square mileage of it, but for our American viewers, something akin to Rhode Island. It's a very, very small island, very small province, but also very important in the history of Canada. Charlottetown is their capital. Its population is 40,000 out of 154,000 people in Prince Edward Island. It was first settled by the French in 1720, taken over by the British in 1758, who then named it after Queen Charlotte. Winters are comparatively mild in temperature, comparative to Saskatchewan especially. However, they're on a harbor, so they get a lot of snow. That's got to be tough in the winter.
Yeah.
Now, Charlottetown has 11 National Historic Sites of Canada, which kind of tells you how important it is to the history of Canada. A lot of important political decisions made there back in the day. And in terms of culture, there are two professional sports teams there. The Charlottetown Islanders hockey team of the Quebec Junior League and the Island Storm from the National Basketball League of Canada.
Nice. There's some great background. While you were saying this, Papa Spokes, just for reference to anybody who's unsure, you mentioned Rhode Island. Rhode Island actually comes in at approximately 4,001 kilometers squared. Meanwhile, Prince Edward Island as a whole province comes in at 5,660 kilometers squared. So PEI is actually just slightly bigger than Rhode Island, but not by a hell of a lot.
Interesting. Okay. So in Charlottetown, this wrestling event, Island Pro Wrestling Snow Mercy, was held at the same venue that we watched the last show at, the PEI Brewing Company. Capacity, approximately 500 people for a wrestling show. So you could fit a good-sized crowd in there for indie wrestling. This building was first built in 1997 as a brewery, but under a different name. By February 2012, it was established as the PEI Brewing Company. It's very popular in the province. They brew such beers as Island Red, Iron Horse Brown, and Sydney Street Stout. Don't some of those sound delectable, Munson?
They sure do. In fact, brewing company, if you DM me, I'd be happy to give you an address where you can ship a couple of crates of those for Papa Smokes and I to we could give a full review right here on the channel. We'd be more than happy to do like a taste testing review live on Ring Respect Radio for you guys. I mean, feel free to reach out to us at any time.
That is one hell of a good idea, Munson. The only thing else I'll say about this venue is we get a nice peek at it later in this show. There will be some brawling outside the ring, and we will get a look at the main tap room in here. And it looks pretty nice, Munson. How about this for a road trip PEI? That's a long way, but that would be fun.
I think that's more of an airplane trip, in my opinion. I don't know about the open road on that one, but it's not out of the question. I mean, hey, if companies are going to open up their hearts to the video bros, I'm not going to say no to making those things possibilities down the road here for sure. I'd love to make my rounds to a lot more of the independent companies that we cover here on the show and that we like to support here, especially in Canada. We want to see good independent companies, good, trustworthy, and well put together independent companies doing the right thing by the world of professional wrestling. And so that's what our friends over at Island Pro Wrestling are doing. 5 matches on this particular card, Papa Spokes, that were aired for those of us just on the YouTube side. Again, on the Patreon side, you would have been able to access a 6th match. It was a death match from what I understand. They were talking very heavily about it. If you're into the whole light tubes and all that kind of jazz, then you can go ahead and subscribe to Patreon. I'll be the first to admit, even if it was free on YouTube, not so sure this would be the one you want Papa Smokes and I to be reviewing, because as soon as I heard light tubes, I was like, yeah, and the lights go off, I'm not interested. Sorry. That's just me. I know a lot of people like it. I'm not trying to crap all over it or really crap on anybody's good time. Just not my thing. Not my thing.
Mine neither, but the wrestling game has changed a lot in these last 10, 15, 20 years kind of thing. Audiences have changed. Yeah, not to my taste so much, but it's to a whole bunch of other people's tastes. So that's all fine and good. They can have that and enjoy that as well.
You bet. Yeah, the VIPs must have loved it. And same with the Patreon subscribers. First matchup we had on this card, Papa Suppose, we had Ryan Dennim taking on Bad Thad Howett. At least that's what came up on the list where I was watching on YouTube. I'm not even sure if it was the first match officially, but that's the first one that we will go ahead and talk about. A lot of the time, that first match we've talked about, very important to get your crowd into it, get them interested in what's going on. Commentary did a great job of selling, just how good Bad Thad Howett is. He's one of the best out in the island. A lot of the companies out there, he's a multi-time champion across various companies. So they really talked about his accolades and talking about Ryan Dennim and just how, great he's come along and how he's going up against this challenge, how much the victory would mean to him in this matchup. This was a fairly decent way to open the card. It was, again, it's far from my favorite match on this card. In fact, this was one of those cards that for me kind of progressively got better the deeper in it went. There wasn't any necessarily show stealers off the hop. The opening matches did classically what opening matches do. They opened the show. And this one did a good job of opening the show between two guys who got, a right amount of talent. It wasn't a perfect match, but it was a good match.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, Munson. We've talked about booking strategies for setting up cards for the evening, and a lot of people use that technique that we favor as well as putting a fairly hot match on first. I think there's wisdom in that strategy. I think it gets your first timers in the crowd right into the show a little bit more because they see a longer match and a bit of talent and a bit more action right off the bat. This was the other way. This was kind of more seemed like a preliminary match right off the bat. Kind of just work everybody in slowly, warm up slowly to the whole thing. Bad Thad Howett has got kind of the black metal face paint on and everything. He looks kind of like a little bit of a scary demon. They had mentioned that he had a title shot for IPW Heavyweight Championship recently that he had been unsuccessful in. So he's in a bit of a mood. Ryan Dennim comes out. You can see he's not as experienced in the business, but he comes out with a charisma. He comes out as kind of a enthusiastic cowboy type character. He's got a little yip and a little woo kind of thing that he's yelling at the crowd. They're giving it back to him. I thought this was pretty okay as a first match. Nothing groundbreaking or anything like that. They took about 8 minutes to get this over with, but Howett using some heel tactics throughout this, built some heat until Ryan Dennim kind of made a hot comeback for a while there. He's got some good stuff as well, but Howett ends up winning this match, hits a low lariat, gets the pinfall, and there's your first matches in the books, and the crowd is sufficiently warmed up.
They sure are. Zach joining us in the house. Hello to you, Zach. And remember, chat, it is we are here for a good time, not a long time. So make sure to keep your comments on topic throughout the show. We appreciate you. Next match we had up on this card, Papa Spokes. I've got the Mauler James Manning taking on Teejay Miguel. Again, I can't quite remember if we might have seen Teejay last show or something. I think so, and I don't quite remember if we saw, I'm really not sure about James Manning, though. We could have seen both. I was trying to, go back. And I honestly didn't go back. I was trying to go back in my mind and remember if we had seen both these guys. Again, both have got quite a bit of talent. Both went in there. They did a great job of following up the previous matchup that was on this card. Again, because of the fact that coming up, they've got a sponsored matchup that's going to be all over the place, brawling all over the place. And then they've got, the ladies division and a title match as well, too. These two first opening cards were just that. They were there to be entertaining, solid, but not take anything away from what was clearly the matchups that the company was pushing towards the top of the card for a reason.
Yeah, very much so. And I think both these opening matches were just that, were preliminary matches to warm up the crowd a little bit. And I think they're putting these on here to get, I would say, the two less experienced wrestlers, Ryan Dennim in the first one and Teejay Miguel in the second one. They're getting reps out there in front of a crowd. So important to bring up that younger talent. IPW absolutely realize this, and they're getting their guys in there. You don't start in the main events. You don't start with the big spots. You don't start at the top of the card. You start down here, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. They're getting their reps. They're getting their practice, and I think Teejay Miguel shows a lot of promise as a fiery aerial style babyface guy. And you can see the Mauler, James Manning, looks like a veteran of the ring, and he's going to be leading this match for sure. He's the heel character in this. Miguel's going to try and get some heat throughout this match and then come on strong as the babyface later on. As it turns out, Manning just a little too much for him, but still a nice match, a 10-minuter. They didn't have to do all the moves known to mankind in this match. They did a simple heel versus babyface match. The Mauler cheated. Miguel tried to get by on the skill of his wrestling, but again, just the veteran a little too much for him.
You bet, yeah, and it's a great way to display some of that younger up and coming talent, right? Especially when you get them to go in there with a more experienced veteran that can lead them well on a matchup. They're learning at the same time. They're in there, they're feeding off of that. They're understanding what has made these people and their longevity in the pro wrestling business exist in the first place. So it is always a good opportunity for young faces to get in there and work with these veterans, find out a little bit more about the wrestling industry, or as lots of people like to say it, taking your bumps. They're bumping, they're learning the entire time. Yeah, it hurts. Yeah, they're getting their asses kicked along the way. But you know what happens with that experience? And the more experience you have in a couple years' time, we're not talking about Trey Miguel being in a preliminary matchup. We're talking about Trey Miguel being in a main card matchup. We're talking about Trey Miguel potentially holding gold. And that's what happens when you go and learn from the veterans of the business.
For sure. And now you got a match in the PEI Brewing Company. Like I said, it's got a capacity of 500 people. I'm not sure if there was that many at this card, but it looked like it was somewhat full at least.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the big one of the big challenges for new wrestlers too, is you can get in the ring in training in an empty building and work out with your buddy all day long, but it's a lot different with the live crowd there. The lights are off over the crowd. The bright lights are on over the ring. The fans are chanting at you. The fans are mocking you. The fans have all kinds of stuff to say. There's commentators. There's ring announcers. There's all kinds of pressures involved with this too. So never mind just the in-ring training in your warehouse somewhere in your training center, just in front of the people and to get those nerves out of the way and all that kind of stuff to get not only comfortable in front of a large live crowd, but to be able to work with that crowd, to be able to interact with them, to talk with the crowd. And as we know from Prairie Pro Wrestling, some of our regular wrestlers have gotten to know the PPW Nation in a certain way, right? They know what they like. They know what they don't like. They know what they react to. So as a worker in the ring, you can interact with the wrestlers. You can use that to your advantage. And that's the kind of thing that guys like Ryan Dennim and Teejay Miguel are learning. It takes time. It takes practice. It takes reps and bumps, as you say. So perfect. Get in that PEI Brewing Company in front of the crowd and do your stuff. It'll get better and it'll get easier.
It sure will. And speaking of Ryan Dennim, this wasn't the last time we'd see him in that opening matchup either, Papa Smokes, because next on the card, they actually had a segment. They had a pretty lengthy segment called My Time with Kayden. Kayden, obviously, clear, not so liked member of the roster here, doing an interview with young Ryan Dennim. Again, segments in these things, they can be okay in pro wrestling at times. It's tough when it comes to indie wrestling to really get that momentum, especially when you're watching from a live aspect. Now, watching on YouTube for guys like us, watching on TV, segments can work a lot better. When you're actually live in an indie show, sometimes we know how antagonizing that can get for the Patreons that are in the seats and everything. They start getting restless. They want the wrestling. They want the action. That's what they came there for, not necessarily to hear people talk. But this was good. I mean, for the fact that they've only got a 5-card matchup here, and to break up a little bit in between what they've got coming up in the second half of this show and what they had open it up, this was pretty good. Another chance to get Ryan Dennim out there, more familiarity with the crowd, and also to use Kayden in some capacity on this crowd as well too, who comes out making it look like he's hurt. He's got that sling on. He's not doing so well. He can't be competitive on this card. Oh man, the whole time I'm like, I don't know, Kayden. I don't know a whole lot about you, son, but I have a feeling you're pulling some old playing possum, as they call it, a little bit of the shenanigans, and how correct I was, Papa Smoke. Aiden lured Ryan Dennim right into his trap.
For sure. And I hear what you're saying about this segment. It works better on tape than live. And we know all about live crowds at Prairie Pro Wrestling. They get a little restless when there's too much talking, especially sometimes right off the bat or in between matches. If there's too much of the ring announcer talking or anybody else, our fans will get restless, and they like to say, "We want wrestling. We want wrestling." You could feel a little bit of that in this crowd as well. But looking at it from the perspective of Island Pro Wrestling, it's also an opportunity. If you don't have a ton of matches or a ton of long matches to have on your show, put a segment in there, put a talking segment. If you've got someone that's injured, use him on the mic, and then that guy gets some experience. If he can't be wrestling, he can be talking. As we know, that's not an easy thing to do in front of a raucous wrestling crowd as well. So further your angles. Yeah, just make part of your angle all about this speaking segment, and you can further your storylines in front of the crowd and get something going always for the next show. You got to be thinking of the next show all the time.
That's right. And again, are we previewing Kayden versus Ryan Dennim at the next show? What are we going to see from Kayden? Is he going to be able to be superior in this, or is Ryan Dennim going to be able to get one of those big upset victories and really surprise Kayden? It leaves that mystery, that mystique, and I love that going into it. It makes me excited for that. You've built something up that I can be prepared for reviewing right here on the channel when that one releases.
For sure. Let's keep it in the back of our minds, because that's just what this segment did, was plant the seed in all the fans' minds. Now, these fans know these wrestlers and their history a little better than we do. We're kind of jumping in on modern times, but we'll catch up as well. And this segment helped with that. It's going to further their angle.
You bet it will. Yeah, it just takes some time to get the ball rolling, like we did with WPW, like we did with IPW New Zealand, SPW New Zealand, all of them. You eventually get in the swing of it. You get to know the people. You get to understand what they got going on, and we'll get there with this as well too. Now, question, Papa Smokes, because the order of YouTube is all out of whack, and I think that we should talk about the title match last, even though it doesn't actually fall last on this particular order. I think that next we should talk about the sponsored matchup, if that works for you.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So we'll talk about the sponsored matchup that comes up next. It is the Drywall matchup. Did you write down who the sponsor of this one was, Papa Smokes? Or
no, I didn't get the name of the company, but we know what they make anyway.
Okay, yes. So obviously a drywall company. The idea, as usual, just like a tables match, put your opponents through the drywall, and that is what you do. It's a 3 versus 3 single elimination, though. So at any point in time, I'm thinking to myself, yep, I have a feeling we're going to get down to a point where it's going to be 3v1. We're going to have a situation where the heels are going to go up with that 2-man advantage in this one. And that's where you're going to be. The babyface has no chance, right? That's typically how you set this type of thing up. And that's pretty much what we did in the matchup. We've got the team of the Shadow Agency taking on DDT and Bobby Boyette. Yes, Bobby Boyette joining DDT, known as Dudes Doing Things, taking on the Shadow Agency, which is we've got Ryan McGrath, Pate LeBlanc, Ricky Mortis. They took on Sebi, Daniel Wall, and Bobby Boyette in this one. And you want to talk about some chaos, some mayhem, some interesting things. This was definitely that. I kept thinking to myself, unlike a tables match, Drywall breaks fairly easily. I don't know what your experience is moving, lifting, or working with drywall. I'm sure you've done it, Papa Smokes, but damn, do you have to be careful not to puncture those things because they go quick.
Yeah, but that's what the sponsor wanted, and in a way, it's a pretty good idea. They get their stuff put in the match and everything. It makes for a funny stipulation match. But yeah, drywall, not quite like a table. You could probably hip toss a 5-year-old through a piece of drywall and not even hurt the kid. But at any rate, this still made for an exciting match.
Yeah. Just to interrupt you for a second, our good friend Blair from Gradewaker Wrestling Podcast in the house. Actually, Blair, we were just talking earlier in the show all about the history making the Winnipeg Pro Wrestling did last night with the live orchestra and everything. We're really excited about that. Congrats to all you guys out there in Winnipeg. Sounds phenomenal, and really hope that we're going to get that on YouTube sooner rather than later, because Papa Spokes and I are really damn excited about this one. But yeah, going back to this match that we're talking about there, Papa Smokes, single elimination, because here's the catch. If this would have been an instant win for someone going through that drywall, you run a big risk because of how brittle drywall is, that if somebody would have accidentally gone through it, the match would have had to have been called immediately, at least in going single elimination on both sides in a 3 versus 3 matchup. If there was one of those incidents that occurred, you could write it off as oops, accident, move on, and go from there. But that's what they did. Single elimination. It did exactly what we were expecting it to do. We got down where the heels had a 3v1 advantage, and from there, the babyface, he fought back with everything he's got, Papa Spokes, and just like the hero he is, saved the day for his team. Yeah, this was exciting. This was a very interesting match here from IPW.
That was one of the best things about it, I thought, was that the babyface went down 2 versus or 3 versus 1 very early in this match. So you get the sense of the struggle early on, this sense of helplessness too, probably from the fans thinking, oh, this is done now. But wrestling being wrestling, of course, it's never over until it's over. I had a little bit of trouble figuring out which was the babyface team and which was the heel team until it really got going. There wasn't so much selling on the entrances in the early part of this match, but of course, as it went along, it became clear who was who in this match, and the babyface Mortis. I better check with you. Is that the guy? Ricky Mortis was the sole babyface that was in that alone for so long. Did the old hope spot of just hanging in there against all odds and everything, and then fate turned his way and everything. He gets his chance to be victorious in this, but pretty cool match. They got the sponsors involved. That always makes for a good relationship. Wrestling shows are often nothing without sponsorship, right? Because they can't sustain usually on just ticket sales alone. We need the help of the community. Well,
we can make an exception to that rule, but you're right 99% of the time, Pop.
Yeah, maybe not always, but sponsorship very important. Also fosters a sense of community with wrestling in the greater community of the city or town in which it's happening. But the drywall company involved, they got their name out there. They got a decent match. Don't know where this fell in the actual order of the card, but good entertainment and some good fun for the fans.
You bet. Yeah, it was either midway or second last, something along those lines. Because up next for what we're going to talk about in the next order is going to be the ladies match. And this was probably my second favorite matchup on this card.
Yes.
We got the debut in IPW of Ronnie Payne taking on Chantal. We know Chantal is kind of the face of this women's division that they are building in Island Pro Wrestling right now. And what a great matchup these two ladies had. Great one-on-one between the two of them. Ronnie Payne really stood out for me. I thought Harry is a great addition to IPW. Hopefully we'll be seeing more of her in the future. And this one ended in a no contest. This ended in a draw. And it was kind of at first I was like, okay, they kind of lead you to believe at first, like maybe they're going to continue the match back on. They're going to get back into it because the way it ended kind of thing. But in the end, they had a nice moment for Chantal to get on the mic as kind of the face and the leader of the women's division of IPW, and not only congratulate Ronnie Payne on a great debut, but welcoming her to the division and bringing her in to really give the fans a sense of she's a player in this division. And moving forward, you're going to want to pay attention to her. And hell yeah, we're going to want to pay attention because Ronnie Payne came out looking great. And I think is going to be great for IPW moving forward.
Yeah, can't agree with you more, Munson. This was one of the better matches on this card for sure. The Heartbreaker Ronnie Payne versus the Vandal Chantal. But this was another match where there wasn't really an established heel or baby face in this. This came across as kind of like two baby faces having an exhibition match, for lack of a better term, like they would say in the video games, if there was no belt on the line, or if you weren't really counting this towards win or loss records. So I was suspicious of this immediately. I thought, oh yeah, they're being very sportsmanlike at the beginning. Ronnie is being welcomed to IPW by her opponent. There's some handshakes. There's some very sportswoman-like grappling, perhaps I should say. Yep. They wrestle for a bit at the beginning of the match. They show each other respect, and I thought, when's this going to break down? Which one's going to go heel in this match? But it didn't happen that way. They kept it as a good-natured match. Yeah, not yet, anyway. Yeah. They kept it as a good-natured match, an exhibition match for fun and for maybe some backstage bragging rights of some kind. But Ronnie Payne came in, made a good impression. She's big, she's strong, she's athletic, she looks good. Chantal, already familiar to the fans around this area. She's popular as well, too. So a cool matchup. The crowd was divided. They weren't sure who to cheer for. Chantal's already a big favorite of the crowd. But maybe kind of like us at Prairie Pro Wrestling as well. Don't have so many ladies matches. So the fans like that. They want to support it. They want to support the female wrestlers as well, which is awesome. So both wrestlers in this match got a lot of support from the crowd. Chantal accidentally kicked the ref. The ref goes down. Ronnie hits a big black hole slam, which was very, very well done. Mm-hmm. No referee to make the pinfall. So another ref enters, and there was both refs counted both shoulders to the mat, both wrestlers' shoulders to the mat somehow at the same time, and they called it a draw. So I see what they're up to here. They've only got a limited amount of female wrestlers. Chantal's their big one in the company for now. They don't want to put a loss on her, but they've got this new enthusiastic star coming in, Ronnie Payne. They don't want to make her lose off the bat either. So let's do a finish like this where neither wrestler takes the loss, neither has the stain on their reputation, and you almost have a little bit of an angle starting here as well, even though it comes from inauspicious means. They look like they're friendly with each other. There appears to be a mutual respect here. We'll see how long that lasts, because they both want domination over the IPW women's division as well. They both want to be the groundbreakers and the trendsetters in what's a fairly new division to this company as well. So they've had Ava Lawless out there in the past. We're quite familiar with her, as is Blair and WPW. And they're building something here. So I can see not wanting to put a loss on either of these female wrestlers. So great match. Quite a lot of talent in the ring at that time. Neither of them eats a loss. So, man, let's move forward with this. We'll see who's going to stay the fan favorite and who isn't.
You bet. And from there, we got one more match to talk about, Papa Smokes, and we will call this our main event of the evening. And this one's actually scheduled for 2 out of 3 falls.
2 falls.
There we go. Yeah, so this one is for the IPW Heavyweight Championship with a champion, the Giant Orion, defending against Wesley Pipes. Wesley Pipes was one of the ones that I said was, I think we both said was a standout. It's definitely love that name as well, too. but giving up size. Everybody gives up size to the Giant Orion. Let's not kid ourselves. This is a big man, but he doesn't work like your typical big man either, Papa's folks. He is a very dangerous big man, and you better believe that you have to bring your A game every single time if you're going to go up against the Giant Orion, especially if you want to get 2 falls over this guy. But damn, was this a very interesting matchup, especially, again, typical 2 out of 3 falls. You're going to have 1 fall go one way, 1 go the other way, and then it's sudden death. Who will get that final fall? But I'll tell you, the way that this was working, I thought to myself, there's no way they're switching a belt this fast. There's just, I couldn't foresee it happening. But damn it, if they didn't suspend my disbelief long enough in this one, especially with the way Pipes was taking it to the Giant Orion as well, too, in this thing. This was a solid way of doing a 2 out of 3 falls matchup. This was definitely my match of the night. Your championship match being the match of the night, the last match on the card, is always a good thing. You're selling your top star in that sense. I love this matchup, and I think that this one is the stamp on the show of why somebody should tune into this card.
Very much so. And we talked about the preliminary matches being at the beginning, warming up the crowd and such. This is the culmination of all of that. They want you to see that their main event is something separate from the other matches. It's the big stars. It's what's drawing the crowd. It's what's drawing the money to this show. And Giant Orion and the muscle beast, Wesley Pipes, fine name, isn't it? Oh, yeah.
Love it.
The nickname and the name is hilarious. But I first saw Giant Orion. He's been a standby in Canadian wrestling for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him, I want to say, 2016, 17, 18, somewhere in there when Winnipeg's CWE company with promoter Danny Duggan came through town a couple times and featured the Giant Orion. You and I have also seen his work out in Alberta, in Edmonton for various companies as well.
I've seen him here with BEW as well too, live. So
okay, right. I forgot about them, but
he's a big boy. He's a big boy.
He sure is. He's not just tall. Back then, he was very, very tall. Now he's put on some beef. He's got some big arms and a big, thick chest and all that. He's a giant dude. He's definitely his namesake. But when you saw the face down or the stare down at the beginning of this match, he's not a whole lot bigger than Wesley Pipes, I gotta say. Yeah. I don't know how tall the Giant Orion is. He looks like he's got to be 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe something like that. He's really big.
He's got to be up there.
Yeah, Pipes is not that much shorter than him. Got a lot of muscle on his body too, so this wasn't as big of a size difference as you might think it is. Pipes comes out with that well-developed body, whole bunch of muscle, whole bunch of strength, and you can see that 2 out of 3 fall heavyweight championship match for Island Pro Wrestling. You could see right off the hop that this was going to be a tilt.
Yeah. No, it was a great matchup. I loved it. And again, like you said, Wesley Pipes only giving up a little bit of size. And again, we talk about the size of the Giant Orion. Like when I've seen him in person, you and I, Pop, so we're 6'3". There's a lot of wrestlers that are definitely under that kind of height these days. So we tend to be fairly tall in comparison to some professional wrestlers. Not in the case of the Giant Orion. When that guy walked by me, I'm looking up thinking, man, my neck does not usually hurt from looking up to other human beings very often, but it does when the Giant Orion walks by. And the fact that Wesley Pipes stands in at that kind of height as well, too, really says something. And again, great between these two individuals. Wesley Pipes is clearly a main event talent in this company, the way that he took this fight to Giant Orion. And I don't foresee this being the very last time that these two individuals cross paths either.
I would hope not, especially as a fan of Island Pro Wrestling, and I'm sure all those people live in the building that night liked it as well. Because of just another little note about pro wrestling. I mean, I remember first falling in love with wrestling as a small kid when you don't know what's going on in the matches. You don't know what's real and what isn't and all the rest of it. The athleticism and the way that matches are set up and booked and everything is one thing, but I always found I liked seeing people that looked different than all the other everyday people that you see in your life, from your family and friends to your schoolmates to people out and about in walking down the street in society and all that. You see the Giant Orion, you're seeing someone different that you don't usually see around. You look at Wesley Pipes, the muscle beast, and you're seeing someone that you just don't see every day either. I think that's a subtle part of each wrestling show, is that you want to see someone that's 6'9" because you don't see it every day. You want to see someone that's 400 pounds. You want to see someone that's very, very strong, or someone that's worked at building their body, worked very hard over so many years. It's just something different that you don't get to see all the time. And the Giant brings that. So does Wesley Pipes. But man, there were some big moments in this title match. You know, you got to have big spots because the challenger wants the title very, very badly. There was a Wesley Pipes get a top rope Hurricane Rana, which was quite wild from a man that size, giving it to a man the size of Giant Orion. I mean, my God, that's probably the biggest Hurricane Rana I've ever seen.
Oh, hell yeah, it was. So, yeah, great job by IPW. Snow Mercy is available on YouTube for everybody to check out, so you can go check it out for yourselves. But from there, Pop Smokes, we're getting close to the top of the hour here after going through a 5-match card, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the most expensive ticker in all of podcasting up on that screen, and you're going to let the people know where can they reach out to Pop Smokes and what you got coming up.
All right, Munson, you can always see Papa Smokes every Thursday at this time on this very podcast, Ring Respect Radio. It's on OLE Podcast and also Video Bros Network. Other than that, I can be found on Elon Musk's free speech wonderland known as X. I am at Smokes_Papa, and also allegedly and legendarily on Twitch at Papa_Smokes_.
That's where you can find Pop Smokes. As for myself, Bobby Munson down there on the X, it's at Real Bobby Munson, Instagram and Threads at Video Bros SK. Over on the Twitch, you'll find me at Video Bro _Bobby Munson and Blue Sky Bobby Munson.bsky.social. You can find me back here 11 a.m. Eastern Time, joined by Andre, possibly Ed as well too, as we give you a preview of the big game. We can't even call it by its actual official name because the NFL might shut us down. Copyright, stuff like that. But yeah, we are going to be talking all about the big game on Point of View, your sports weekly show. And yes, thank you, Mangler. Another hell of a show. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, my friend. But yes, that's where you can find me this Sunday. You can catch myself and Papa Smokes every Saturday, 1 p.m. Saskatchewan time, whatever that falls in for the rest of y'all. Check it out in your local listings, or just go over to YouTube and check it out. Prairie Pro Wrestling is the stop. We are your commentary team. We got a new match for you each and every Saturday right there on the channel. And if you got any value out of what you saw here tonight, check out OLE Podcast across all social media. Remember that you can now do super chats, you do super stickers. We are a YouTube partner. You can also go ahead and give us hype points on a mobile phone. Go ahead and swipe to the side. You will find the hype button, up to 3 hype points a week. Save your hype points for ourselves here on Ring Respect, for Taking Over, for Noah Unleashed, or any of your favorite shows right here on OLE Podcast. And if you haven't done so already, click the subscribe button down below. Give us a thumbs up. Ring the notification bell. Leave us a comment in the comment section below. Have you checked out this card? What was your favorite matchup from it? And is there any wrestling companies out there that you haven't heard us cover here on Ring Respect Radio? The Papa Smokes and I should be checking out. But that's going to be it for us this week on Ring Respect Radio. We wish you all a very happy Thursday, and we will see you in a week's time. Take care, everybody.